I now hand the conference over to Mr. Amin Sare from Antique Stock Broking. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Tuja, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the call. We thank the management of Punjab Chemicals and Crop Protection for giving us the opportunity to host the post-result quarterly conference call. Today, we have with us the senior management team of the company, represented by Mr. Salil Shroff, the Managing Director, Mr. Vinod Gupta, CEO, and Mr. Dr. S. Sriram, the Chief Financial Officer. Without further delay, I now hand over the call to Mr. Sriram or Mr. Vinod for their opening remarks on the business and financial performance for the quarter gone by. Post that, we can open the floor for Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Vinod Gupta, CEO for the company, and we welcome you to this conference call to discuss our last quarter performance. And also, I hope that all of you are staying safe and looking forward to the festive season, which we sort of missed last year. During last quarter, there were several challenges which business faced. I think everybody is aware of the challenge which came from this uncertainty being created by China, and also the logistical challenges. Now, despite all these challenges, the resiliency of our business and the robustness of our business is clearly visible in our results. We've taken several strategic initiatives over the last few quarters, and that is actually showing in our performance. Obviously, from China side, the main challenge was availability of raw material because the supply chain is globally integrated, and we took proactive decisions on a regular basis to ensure that our business do not get interrupted because of any supply interruption coming from China. Similarly, on the product delivery side, we did have a challenge of containers availability or space availability on ship. In most of the cases, we were able to meet our commitment, barring a few commitments, which will anyway be taken care of then in the subsequent quarter. Also, because of delayed monsoon, there was a power crisis in Punjab, which did affect power availability to our factories for around 10 to 12 days. However, with our proper planning and the backups that we were able to arrange in time, we made sure that the business is not impacted because of these uncertainties which got created. So, in view of all these challenges, obviously there is an upside which I would like to present is that we were in the process of developing two products in the last quarter. Both the products have got commercialized, and we have started regular supplies of these products to our customers. Now, I'll just give a summary of performance for this quarter. If I look at on year-to-year basis, quarter two from last year, our turnover was 164 crores. This year we ended at 209 crores. That's a growth of over 27%. Our gross margins are stable at around 40.5%. EBITDA has grown from 23 crores to 31 crores, and margins are up from 13.8% to 14.8%. Similarly, growth in profit after tax PAT is from 12 crores to 18 crores, and margins have improved from 7.2% to 8.6%. If you look at the half-yearly performance, on year-to-year basis, our revenue has increased by 42%. Our gross margins are stable at about 41%. EBITDA has boosted from about 45 crores to 69 crores, and margins have gone up from 15.1 crores to 16.4 crores. Sorry, 15.1% to 16.4%. And PAT has almost doubled from 23 crores to 42 crores, which is an increase in PAT margin from 70.8% to 10.1%. In Punjab Chemicals, we are taking all possible strategic initiatives, including long-term partnership with our customers, building our leadership team to ensure that the company continues to grow and gets benefited from diversification which is being undertaken by global world to create an alternate source of critical AI, API and intermediate supplies. That's all from my side. Thank you very much. And now, Shalil, if you want to add something, otherwise we can move to Q&A.
No, I think Vinod covered all the points, and I think we'll be more than happy to now go through the Q&A. Over to you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity and wish you Happy Diwali and Happy New Year. Sir, one question on these two products which have gone where the commercial supplies have started. So there was this 3 products for FY22. So what is the status on the third product? And these 3 products put together, what is the revenue expectation for FY22 and FY23?
So out of the 2, I think the third product is also on track. We will probably be able to start commercial supplies in the last quarter. That will be the quarter of January to March.
And revenue potential out of these 3 products for 22 and 23?
Revenue potential for these 3 products for 22, each of these products should give us about 15. The 2 products that we have commercialized should give us 15 crores each. And third product, I think it will all depend on the timeline, so I will not put any number around it for this financial year.
And next year for these 3 products together?
Next year, these 3 products together, I think should give us roughly about 70 to 80 crores.
Okay. And there were another couple of products for which there was a progress to come in 23. So what is the progress there, sir?
See, as we have always discussed with you, we are in a sector where our product also has to be registered. So today, if Punjab becomes a supplier to any of these companies, they have to register. So, registration process, as I have always explained on many calls, depending on geographical markets, it takes between 3 months to 3 years. Maybe sometimes also goes a little bit more. So as far as Punjab and our customers are concerned, we are absolutely in line, and we believe that the registration process is ongoing, and very soon we'll be having these registrations to cover partly of the other geographical areas where we would be exporting this product to our customers, who then will distribute it to the ongoing supply chain.
Sir, the other question is on the capacity of the gross block side. So your presentation talks about some 80% capacity utilization at both your sites. And then there is this expansion of about, I think last call mentioned about 150 crore which you're undertaking via some money coming from the customer. So the question here is, the existing capacity that you have on ground, what kind of revenues it can support, and this 150 crore of investment which is proposed, at what asset turn this investment will come?
So basically, you have asked 2 things. One is, let's look at what product we are in. So at the moment, the product range we are in, there is a growth potential, and it may grow. I mean, the planning is that it will go between 15 to 20% on a year-to-year basis, other than there is any adverse in the market condition. As far as the investment goes, so the investment on 150 CR is partly existing capex and the new capex, which we presume in the next 2 years should at least be 3 to 4 times of the revenue.
Okay, 3 to 4x asset turn.
Yeah.
Okay, and the existing asset block on ground of 200-250 crores at 80% capacity utilization can generate what kind of revenue, sir?
So as I said, on different products, we have between 15 to 20% on a year-to-year basis. So if I broadly look at it, it could be between 100 to 300 crores in the next 3 years.
Okay. And so one clarification, I was not able to understand. We had a gross block of 400 crores in FY16, which stands at about 250 crore last year. So is there something that we have sold out from the gross block, or there is some revaluation of the gross block? If you could just help us understand this.
Yeah, there is no revaluation of the asset. Some non-productive assets which we have sold, which are not part. Which are not part of the plant and machinery, but there was one Tarapur plant which we sold, and a couple of offices in Bombay which we sold.
So now what remains on the balance sheet at 250 crore is all the existing productive gross block comprising the offices and the Lalru and the other plant. That's how we should read it, right? This 250 crore.
Exactly. Correct. You're right.
Okay. Thank you very much, and all the best to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Not only Lalru and Punjab, we have some asset in Pune also, but that's very small.
Right. Pune also, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhaval Shah from Swan Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, on our long-term guidance of 1,500 crore sales by 24, so assuming the asset turn at 2.5, we would be requiring around 600 crores of gross block. Now, we are currently at 250, and then you have guided further. So are we? Is the gross block turnover going to be the same to achieve this 1,500 crore? And thus, what will be our capex plan over next 2 years to achieve this top line?
So basically, as we already said, that the capex which we are looking at around 150 crores, in which it comprises of the existing products, the updation, and also new products. Please also understand that every product which we do, varies from whether it's a $10 or a $30 or a $50 product. So going forward, we believe that the two assets, and also looking at our industrial division, because that also has a tremendous potential. As we make the phosphoric acid, which is not the normal grade, it's the higher grade, which goes into companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, into pharmaceutical companies who buy it, like Laurus and Divi's, etc. So comprising of all this, we believe at the moment what we have planned to achieve 1,500 crores is very well documented. Everything which we planned is absolutely on track. As we see moving forward, as you see, last year we were at around 680 to 700. This year we expect a good jump, and thereafter what we believe we can achieve to our target, which we have portrayed to all of you guys.
Correct. So then that would mean the 150 crore expansion announced will be enough for this top line, or you will be announcing further? Because you mentioned, because then if that is the case, then our asset turns will further be higher. Anyways, we are higher compared to the industry. We are at 2.5 to 2.9, and that's little higher than industry norm. So how should we read it in terms of our capex requirement?
So at the moment, as we have said, that the capex which we have planned should take us where we are in terms of achieving our 1,500 revenue.
So this is your contribution, or this is the total capex requirement? Because I think last 1-2 calls we discussed that even the client will be contributing money towards capital investment, plus also towards working capital. So this 150 is our investment or total investment?
So this 150 would be on capex, which will be jointly with the customer. As far as working capital and others, I think in last call, Sriram had explained that we have now got good lines with many companies, because ours is major export. So, we use some facilities beyond the Indian banking.
So with 150 our investment, and then so what will be the client's investment? So in that the asset turns would be what, same 2.5 to 2.9 times?
Should be that. And see, again, on a product basis, on a customer basis, it varies. What type of investment they'll do, what we bring in. So at the moment, we are at 150 crores, where we have said would be jointly within the cash flows of Punjab and within the contribution from the customer.
Okay, and just the investment which the client will make, I assume that won't be reflected in our balance sheet, right? In the assets, or will it be reflected?
It will be reflected in our balance sheet. It's only a cash flow arrangement, so that will come as part of capex in the balance sheet. One point I think we should not forget is that in some of the cases where we will be expanding our existing molecules, the incremental revenue and incremental capex requirement in a brownfield project is far less than a greenfield project.
Correct.
So we'll see a significant upside where we are looking at debottlenecking and expanding our capacities, or fine-tuning of molecules or moving to high-value molecules. And that's where you will see a better asset turnover also from existing assets.
Okay, got it. And so just one question on the related party transaction. This Hemsil Trading and Manufacturing Private Limited, we have the cover company borrows from this entity. So what is the nature of this company, and why the borrowing from this entity?
See, Hemsil is the promoter company of Punjab Chemicals, which is owned by Shalil Shroff. That's me and my family.
Okay, great, sir. Thank you.
So, I think in the SEBI and everywhere, Hemsil is a promoter. It's been categorized as a promoter, then Shalil Shroff.
Exactly. We in the earlier call also we had said, promoters had contributed when we had this OTS and, when we had issues with our cash flow. So they had come and, supported the company, and quite good, and that's the reason we are up and running as of now,
Got it. Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Akshay Sapija from Alpha Invesco. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity. In the previous annual report, we used to mention breakup of sales between Dehradun and Lalru plants. If you could give us that numbers for first half and financial year 21.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, Dehradun obviously is our active ingredient. That's where we make the agrochemicals. So if you look at between Dehradun, Lalru and Pune, we look at Dehradun at around 60%, 30% to 35% would be Lalru, and the balance 10 to 15% would be the industrial division.
Okay. So, sir, also on the Lalru plant, so we actually guided that couple of these molecules that are coming in this year would be shipped from the Lalru plant. So that's where we saw the additional capacity of 3,000 tons. But in the volume front, we couldn't see any uptick for first half. So is it that this is being supplied from Dehradun itself, or if you could give us some idea on what the 3,000 additional tons of capacity is, and
Ideally, I think we should not look at plant-wise, because we have most of the plants are kind of interchangeable. We can sometimes produce here and there. So that's one big thing, and you look at it in totality.
Okay.
And just to add that, as Vinod did mention that, the products that the Lalru, the commercial productions have started, there was a little bit delay in the first and the second quarter. As you all know, that the supply chain, basically logistics, and now we have seen in the last, I would say between 10 to 2 weeks, things have become a little better, and we hope and we pray that the logistics remain the same, because otherwise, there is always a delay in shipments. But moving forward, yes, Lalru will have a better capacity, will have better in terms of revenue. I would say between Dehradun and Lalru, over the next 2 years, we would see that they would look at maybe at a 50-50 level, yeah.
Okay, got it. So my final question, so if you look at the agrochemicals exports from India, there has been a significant increase in the last 5 years of exports to Brazil and United States. So if you could throw some light on what those exports are and if we are contributing any further to it, and how are we looking at that export opportunity?
As I told you, that we are in agrochemicals, so every customer, every company who buys from us need our registration, and these two countries, especially Latin America and Brazil and US, take some time in registration. And if we see from the last 2-3 years, our export to these continent has increased, and you will see in the next 2 years increasing a little bit more, because as registrations come in, the supply chain will happen more robustly.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Ohri from Progressive Shares. Please go ahead.
Hi, Salil, Vinod, and Sriram. Sir, 2 questions. First one is a curiosity. Why do we not mention anything about the Pune industrial plant in the investor presentation?
I think we do cover, but maybe it's a good point you have brought it up. We will again relook at it, and we'll ensure that we give a light, because as I said, the phosphoric acid which we make is of a higher grade, and in terms of business, it's comparatively less if you look at the agro and the intermediate side. But it's a good suggestion. We will definitely look into it. Yeah.
So for now, can you share what is the area, and is it an owned property by us, and what is the total capacity and capacity utilization of this unit?
So the Pune unit is basically it's a leased property. It doesn't belong to the company. Mm-hmm. The capacity which we utilize right now is close to around 75 to 80%, and we are already, because this business dynamic is very different. And as I was telling you that the phosphoric acid we supply to Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and in the next 2 years we see a lot of interest for them to buy this product for their Korean plant, for their Singapore plant, which we are already exporting now, and we are already in discussion with them to enhance this capacity, and which at the moment at the existing plant we'll be able to do little bit, but we are already looking at adjoining plot where we can expand on this capacity, or look at a site a little bit away from where we are, but within that radius of parameters.
Okay, so what is the current acres that we have over there in this Pune property?
The unit is pretty small. It's only around 1.5 acres.
Okay. My second question is related to you alluded in some of the con calls earlier that there were certain clients from Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore who were lost in the past, and they have come back. So have you been able to get any order book from them, or have they come back to us?
Yeah, so in fact, it is a product which we have already. In fact, we exported some in the first quarter, and now again in the second and third quarter that will happen. Parallelly, we are also discussing with them on new projects. And please keep in mind, when we talk on new projects, please look at that registration period and everything. So as we see from today, in the next 2 years, the exports which Punjab is pretty strong between Europe, US, Latin, which also will increase now into Southeast Asia, covering Japan and Australia.
Okay, sir. Wishing you a happy Diwali. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Same to you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Surbhi Saraugi from Smith's Capital Markets. Please go ahead. Surbhi Saraugi, please go ahead with your question. Your line is unmuted. As there is no response from the line, we'll move to the next question, which is from the line of Monica Arora from ShareJoint Advisor. Please go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I just had one question. What is your plans for our domestic business, and how do you see the split between domestic and export business in next few years?
Yeah, so if you see, Punjab has been pretty strong on the export side. Having said that, we have not forgotten the domestic market, and in the next 2 years, you will see there would be more business which also will happen in domestic. But by and large, if we see the roadmap for the 1,500 crores, we still believe that the 60 to 65% would still command on the export front. where the markets such as the US and Latin and Australian markets will be catching in the last 2 years. But still, the domestic is on priority with us, which also we are looking. But as on date, which we look in the next 2 to 3 years, the visibility on the export would be on the higher side, or partly the same ratio which we are doing. Maybe a little bit tweak of 5 to 10% would grab a little bit of domestic market in the next 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the clarity.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Deepak Poddar from Sapphire Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. So I just wanted to understand in terms of your challenges that you have been talking about the uncertainty on China front, the raw material procurement, as well as the logistical challenges. So just wanted to understand how does that derail your margin expectations over next maybe 1 to 3 years?
I think the China interruption at the moment is more around supply chain and our ability to service the market, because for most of the products, any changes in the raw material prices are passed through to our customers. So that way, it does not impact our margins. So we are more worried about securing our supply chain and our ability to service the customers. Now, in order to mitigate this particular risk, for last 2 years, we have been aggressively developing alternate locations from where we can get this raw material. I think in last 2 years, we have developed at least local suppliers for 3 to 4 critical raw material. For another 2 raw material, there is a arrangement which is going on, and some pilot samples have been received. So we are aggressively looking at starting either sourcing locally or from geographies other than China. And once we are able to do this, so this is obviously a very important initiative that we have taken, and this will continue for say another year or 2. We will be able to have at least 2 locations from where we get this raw material. And hence, we are able to ensure the supply security. Where our customers are more worried about quantity and quality and timely delivery of the material.
Okay. So does that mean that our this year margin of 16-17% going up to 18-20% by 24 remains intact?
Yes, I think we strongly believe in that, and we are working in that direction.
That's it from me. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kacholia from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you talk a little bit about which technologies and chemical processes that we are really good at? Which part of the chemical value chain? Different companies have different expertise. So if you can talk a little bit about our expertise.
So basically, chemical is a very big word. And just to give you an example, for example, Punjab, we handle products like hydrogen hydride, thionyl chloride, sodium cyanide, which are yellow phosphorus, chlorine chemistry, hydrogenation, Fedelsdorf reaction, aluminum chloride. So across the board, we do specialize not only in one, but we do specialize in 6, 7. I mean, we cannot be specializing in everything. But like, for example, there are certain products which we believe we cannot do. We always be upfront with the customer. And usually whenever a customer looks at us, they know us. Punjab is pretty well known for quality, well known for its technology, well known for its HSC health and safety. So based on that, we move forward. To just give you, that's where I just named few of the chemicals. There are many more which we handle. Like for example, bromine. We handle at our plant close to 100 tons a month. Hydrogen hydride 300 tons a month. Thionyl chloride 300 tons a month. So these products are not only they're chemicals, but they are also hazardous. So you need to follow proper safety measures to ensure usage as well as storage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naitik Modi from OHM Portfolio. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. My question was pertaining to Nippon Kayaku. What's the progress on that product?
That product we have commercialized, and now it is commercial supplies have started.
How is the ramp up happening, sir?
We are close to 80% capacity utilization.
For that particular product. So what are the kind of sales we are expecting for this year from that product?
I think this year should be in the tune of around between 10 to 12 CR, maybe a little bit more, because again, why we are trying to be a little bit careful in what we answer you because of logistics, as I was just telling you sometime back, for the last 10 days to 2 weeks, logistics has been pretty good, and we hope that this continues, to ensure that the supply goes in. This product's full potential, as I have already explained to you, is more than 60 to 70 CR when we go to full throttle. So that would come in the next between 12 to 18 months. Yeah.
Okay. And similarly, what's the status on the product that we are developing with a Singapore company?
That also is good. We have had some shipments. Then there was a little bit of drought in Australia, where is one of the markets, but obviously Europe and UK is also biggest market. And that is also going absolutely as planned moving forward.
So are we going to, is it expected to be launched in FY22 or this will again go to 23?
No, so partly this year we have already sold some quantities which would bring in a revenue of anywhere between 12 to 15 CR. And moving forward for the next year, we expect to at least double that, yeah.
So at peak, this can be a 30 crore product or?
The potential of this product with the capacity which we have is close to around 90 to 100 CR. Having said that, with the registrations what we have in hand, we believe that next year would be this number, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Karthik from Suyash Advisor. Please go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon. Couple of things. Can you talk a bit about the product pipeline at various stages of development? So let's say beyond FY23, when you talked about say maybe 2-3 new products being commercialized, what does the pipeline look like? And in terms of new customer additions, has there been any progress? Can you talk about that as well?
So basically, being any company, I mean, there is always a product pipeline because we don't have to look at what is going to see in what we see in the next 2 years, but we look from what is in the next 5 years we are going to do in terms of growth, in terms of product. And also please understand, with these challenges coming of supply, we also have to look back that not only making the AI, but we also look at the raw material supply. So as just some time back, Vinod was trying to explain to you that how we have also now started developing vendors in India. And, this brings in very good because our Prime Minister has always emphasized Make in India. So this is also an important aspect for us. So moving forward in terms of products, yes, I cannot give you names because of confidentiality where we have with the customer. I'm sorry, I can't even give you a customer's name. But we have 3 to 4 products with a good potential in terms of sales and revenue. And as far as customer, the new customers who have joined us, it's always a progress where we do within the existing customers and new one. And again, because of certain products which are not yet commercialized, unfortunately, here again, because of the confidentiality of the nature, we cannot spell out the customer's name. And I hope you'll appreciate that, yeah.
Of course. I just wanted to understand visibility, sir. I don't want details.
Yeah, so visibility would give you the visibility, yeah.
Fair. See, the other question is, sir, is there any risk of obsolescence in any of your products, the current set of products that you have, and therefore is that part of the contingency plan that you have for the 1,500 crore revenue piece also?
So I think that's a very interesting question, and this is what we did in last quarter with most of our customers as to how do these products look like going forward in next 4 to 5 years. Fortunately, none of our products are in that basket where there is a risk of obsolescence. Maybe except one product. In all other products, we see a market growth of 7 to 8% year on year. So that way, none of our products will go into that basket of being obsolete and any need for replacement.
Right. Last question on profitability. You talked about being able to, pass through costs. Is there a substantial lag or is there a nominal lag as of now?
Generally, it's a quarterly reset. So we are able to do a quarterly reset, and if there is a steep hike, like it happened this time, even during the quarter we did talk to a customer, said that okay, because the current situation was really exceptional, and customers in all the cases, not most of the cases, but in all the cases were very willingly was ready to cooperate, understanding the current challenges, which is not only an India specific or Punjab Chemical specific challenge, but a global challenge.
Correct. Sure. Thank you so much, and very best wishes.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jatin J from Alpha Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for taking my questions. Sir, most of my long-term questions have been answered, but in terms of this quarter, can you explain there is some kind of lower margin compared to the last quarter? Would this be because of logistics-related issues, or there are something else also to look into?
I think there have been 2-3 specific instances. Obviously, one is I think we said there was a power crisis in Punjab, and we actually, rather than getting a power from the grid, we had to operate our DG sets. Because of the delayed rains, the fuel, we use husk as a fuel, so husk was not available, and we are actually, in fact, paying unprecedentedly high prices even today of husk, despite this. It's supposed to be peak season. So the fuel cost is definitely on a higher side, and logistic costs also, where probably there is some lag. I mean, raw material prices was a pass-through, but there was a challenge on the raw material prices. And third aspect which we can consider is logistical aspect, where some of the shipments could not take place just because some space was not available, or container was not available. Otherwise, I think on the front of our capacity utilization or our ability to manage raw material availability, I think everything else was fully in place.
Sure, sir. And any guidance for second half? Do we expect to be similar like first half, or how do we expect that to be?
Please understand, there are certain borders, certain lines by SEBI, and I cannot talk too much, but I'll tell you that the plan is absolutely good. The order book position looks very, very positive. In fact, at my level also, I've discussed with the customers, and they believe they want not one, but they want 5. So moving forward, things are good, and we will, because as we have said, our growth plan, that from where to where we want to go to 1,500. So this year, the 2 quarters should be much more better than what we did for the last 2 years.
Sure, sir. Thank you, and all the best.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Dhaval Shah from Swan Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for the opportunity again. So I have a question on our product basket. Now, I was looking at the top 5 products for us. So, for example, Metconazole was we did around 195 crore sales in FY20, and that came down to around 50 crore odd in FY21. And while for Metamizole, it was almost nil in FY20 and came to 160 crore in FY21. Now, this such big movement in our volumes, what is the reason for that? And my second question is on diflufenacin, which is a pyridine-based herbicide. Now, Bayer is going to launch a new product as a combination with this diflufenacin. So, are we going to participate in that opportunity as well? Yeah, these are my 2 questions.
Yeah, so as far as you mentioned about the 2-3 products in terms of the capacity, I think if I go back in 20, yes, for that last quarter, because of at the suppliers level, there were some stocks, and that's where it was delayed for the next year. But otherwise, the product in terms of supply has no problem. In terms of crop acreage, not an issue. The second one which you asked on DFF, that end, with the mixture, with the existing customers with whom we are doing the business, they also have the same registration, and it's moving forward. And this product has a good potential for us because we are the only one other than Bayer and China and we are prettily backwardly integrated. Even the raw material source, we don't only rely on China, but we have also indigenized it, and that's giving us upper hand. And we believe moving forward, we will go parallel in terms of the product as far as the mixtures also.
Okay. So, sir, now when we have such high revenue share, so for example, 160 crore of Metribuzin in FY21, and given the global size would be around, say, 900 to 1,000 crore molecule. So what is our strategy? Do we need to, are we looking at further increasing our market share of this particular molecule, or are we very high because we have a double-digit market share already? So, and our top 5 molecules for us is all into herbicide and fungicide. So, going forward 2-3 years down the line, will this agrochem focus be there, or how will it change?
So basically, as far as the product goes, the existing product, yes, the market size is big, but please understand, a customer would not like to buy 100% or 80%. So at the moment,
of course, yeah,
customers which we look at buy between 60 to 70% from us, and they always like to have alternates. And we have already been discussing with few of them, and they have said that yes, we can look at it. And that's where I said the increase of some product could happen of maybe between 15 to 20%. As far as your second one was related to, what was the second one?
DFF virus entering the...
No, that I replied. What was the second one? You just...
No, I said your agrochemical is 50% of sales.
So moving forward, our aim, because we are into agro, the customers also we work in is agro. But as in the last couple of calls, I also mentioned that Punjab is also strongly looking at intermediates. Because we are into agro, and in intermediates we have good relationship with companies like Laurus, like Divi's, Mylan. You talk of Abbott, you talk of Daiichi Sankyo overseas. Yeah. So with them also we are looking at. So moving forward, obviously, still 60 to 70% of our revenue would be from agro. But we believe moving forward, intermediates is something where, because again, it's becoming China, because you know that pharma companies rely a lot of their raw materials, a lot of their intermediates they buy from China. And we have seen within the last 6 months more aggressive, where we were discussing with them and they were saying, okay, we'll talk. But now we are seeing more and more people coming on the table and saying, okay, let's sit together. Can you do this? Can you do this? So moving forward, our focus on products on intermediate side will also be increased. Yeah?
Okay. So sir, in our total basket, how much is our domestic revenue?
As I said, we are almost 65% export. So we are close to around 35%. And moving forward, I think one of the lady or gentlemen asked, and as I said, we are also entering on the domestic in terms of supply. So moving forward, we would go to maybe between 55-45.
Yeah, and within domestic, within the 35% revenue, what is our agrochem and pharmaceutical share?
So if I say 35% would be half agro, half, I would say not even half, maybe around 40% agro, 60% of the intermediate or the specialty chemicals. But moving forward, this will become close to 50-50. Yeah?
Okay, because I was looking at products. So we make oxalic acid, benzoic acid, which are all building block and basic chemicals. So in this, so how much of the sales would be this basket? So like you make technicals also, which would qualify in specialty chemical, but this building block chemical and the solvents, that basket would be how much of our total sales?
So if you correlate to an oxalic acid or diethyl oxalate, that would contribute not more than maybe 10-15 crores, 20 crores on the top on a yearly basis. But then we look at specialty chemicals, intermediates, this would be rather high, like from our industrial division or from our intermediate would be to the tune of between 60 to 70 crores, which is that angle which we want to take forward to grow that part of the business, because there's a lot of visibility now where customers were relying other than India, and they also want to now look at a company like ours. And, again, I always believe that Punjab has been an agro, and a company like companies who make API would like to work with Punjab Chemicals because we are not in the API sector, nor we would like to do that other than it's a contract manufacturing. So we'll be more than happy to supply them technicals and become their good supply chain in terms of
partner, reliable partner, So in our 1500 crore journey, so intermediates would be a part of it. As you mentioned, you're entering into that with likes of Laurus and a couple of other names you took.
Absolutely.
Got it. Okay, fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rohit Ohri from Progressive Shares. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. The way Adama, Corteva, UPL, and others are growing, they're quite aggressive. So do you think that this target of 1,500 crores should be a conservative one for you right now, and should you be revising it sooner?
So I think it's better to play conservative. I don't know. Then look at this. Yes, I think, but at the same time, what you say is right. All our customers are very aggressive, and we are in continuous dialogue with them to look at any business opportunity that can come in partnership with them.
Okay. Again, we have to be very careful, especially, when these calls are all recorded and all. But just to give you an upfront that today for the 1,500 crores, we exactly know where we are. There are a lot of opportunities which we are discussing with, which as and when come, we'll be more than happy. And in fact, we as management and you as investors, shareholders, whatever, also will be happy to see better numbers. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we can take a couple of more, and then because then we have another call because we're already 50 minutes up, so maybe another 2 or 3 questions. Yeah.
Sure. The next question is from the line of Surabhi Saragi from Smith's Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Please.
Sir, my question is that on a quarter-on-quarter basis, your EBITDA margin has fallen from 14.8% to 17.5%. And also in your last con call, you had given the guidance that your EBITDA margin for the full financial year 22 would be around 17%. So can you give some reason for the downfall of EBITDA margin in this quarter?
So as Vinod did explain to you that this quarter, the second quarter was a challenge in terms of power. I think we have already explained all in detail, because of power and a little bit on the fuel prices, on the hut which we use because of the delayed in monsoon, or in certain ways the monsoon has been on higher. But moving forward, we believe on a year-to-year, a yearly, we should come closer to what which we are moving forward to.
Okay. And sir, my another question is, do you import raw materials from China and or from somewhere else also? And what is the impact of the increase in cost price of raw materials?
So as this also in fact, it was replied that we said, our all contracts are on a yearly basis, but the raw materials on a quarter recheck. So as and when the raw material goes up, we check with the customer. As far as procurement of raw materials, we don't only buy from China, we buy from India, we buy from US, we buy from Europe. So we buy from all over. But yes, China for everyone, it's not only Punjab, but everybody in the chemical industry has been hit, and we are working very aggressively to see that our dependence on many of our flagship or the products which we are coming in the next couple of months or in the future, we ensure that the raw material is secure. And in fact, even the customers with whom we discuss, they know Punjab is a good manufacturer, they have the capabilities, but we need to look at supply chain other than the main AI, the downstream raw materials.
Okay. And sir, my another question is, if there is an increase in shipping cost, what is the effect of that? How, if you can quantify that?
So even all as in the contract, it's well defined that shipping cost is also actual whatever comes in is taken care by the customer.
Okay. And sir, by when do you expect the situation to normalize the raw material and logistics challenges?
As I did mention that last 10 to 2 weeks we see a visibility in movement of containers, but this is something which everybody is hoping. But I believe in the first or the second quarter of next year things should become much more simpler and easier.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Okay, thanks for participating in today's call, and I think a lot of interesting questions. And we'll only from the side of management, we can only say that we are putting best of our efforts both on operational basis as well as on strategic initiative to ensure that our growth projections remain in line.
And we wish everybody a happy Diwali and safe for India to fight the coronavirus. All the best, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.